The massive alien ship hung above Earth like a dark cloud that covered half the sky. People in cities around the world stopped what they were doing and looked up in fear. The ship was longer than 10 aircraft carriers placed end to end, and its black metal surface seemed to drink in the sunlight. Admiral Zexathara stood on the bridge of the Galactic Council mothership Dominion's Edge. His reptilian skin was dark green with yellow markings that showed his high rank. His large eyes never blinked as he watched the blue planet below. Behind him, dozens of alien crew members worked at their stations. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking fish, but all wore the same gray uniforms of the Council. Military. "Open a channel to the entire planet," Zexathara ordered. His voice was deep and cold like winter ice. "It is time to deliver their final warning." On Earth, every television, radio, and computer screen suddenly went black. Then the alien, Admiral's face appeared, filling screens in homes, offices, and public squares around the world. When he spoke, the words came in perfect English, Spanish, Chinese, and every other human language at the same time. "Humans of Earth," Zexathara began, "I am Admiral Zexathara of the Galactic Council. Your species has been judged by the Council. You have developed space travel without permission. You have spread to other worlds without Council approval. This cannot be allowed." In the White House, President Jake Morrison sat at his desk in the Oval Office, watching the broadcast with his top advisors. Defense Secretary Lisa Carter gripped her coffee cup so tightly her knuckles turned white. General Ben Clark, the head of Earth's military forces, kept his face calm, but his jaw was tight with anger. "You have 72 hours, the alien continued. "Surrender all your military ships and weapons. Your leaders will come aboard our ships for protective custody. Your people will be relocated to designated areas where the Council can watch over you. If you refuse, we will destroy every city on your planet. This is not a negotiation. This is your only chance to survive." The screen went black. Around the world, people began to panic. Some ran to their cars to flee the cities. Others called their families. Many just stood still, too shocked to move. President Morrison turned to his advisors. "How long until our people are ready?" "Dr. Rodriguez says 6 hours for full activation," General Clark replied quietly. "The fleet commanders are already moving into position." Defense Secretary Carter looked confused. "Sir, shouldn't we be discussing evacuation plans? That ship could destroy Washington in minutes." Morrison smiled for the first time since the aliens arrived. "Lisa, there are things about our defenses that even you don't know. Ben, contact Project Blackout. Tell them it's time." 3,000 miles away, deep underground in the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Alex Rodriguez walked through a facility that officially did not exist. The walls were lined with computers and screens showing data that would have amazed the world's top scientists. Technicians in white coats worked at stations monitoring energy levels and weapon systems that looked like they came from science fiction movies. "Sir," called out Lieutenant Amy Foster from her workstation, "the Council ship is scanning our major cities. They're looking for military installations." Rodriguez nodded. "Let them scan. They'll only see what we want them to see." He pressed a button on his control panel. "All stations, this is Blackout Command. Begin Phase 1 deception protocols. Make sure they see plenty of primitive nuclear, missiles, and old-style radar systems." Above ground, the aliens saw exactly what Rodriguez wanted them to see. Their scanners detected nuclear weapons that were actually 40 years old, radar installations that looked impressive but were really just for show, and military bases that appeared to house Earth's entire defense force. On the Council ship, Science Officer Quindal studied the readings with satisfaction. Admiral, the humans have primitive atomic weapons and basic propulsion systems. Their largest ships are less than 1/10 the size of our smallest destroyer. This will be an easy conquest. Good, Zexthera replied. How many ships do they have? Perhaps 300 vessels total, sir. Most appear to be civilian craft with minimal weapons. Their military fleet consists of approximately 50 ships with basic missile systems. What Quindal didn't know was that Earth's real military consisted of technologies the Council had never seen before. Hidden in deep ocean trenches, asteroid bases, and underground facilities were weapons and ships that used principles of physics the aliens thought were impossible. Back in the White House, Morrison addressed his cabinet. Ladies and gentlemen, for 50 years our species has been preparing for this day. Every secret project, every hidden research facility, every dollar spent on technologies the public never knew about has led to this moment. He activated a wall screen that showed a map of the solar system. Red dots appeared throughout the system, marking hidden bases and weapon platforms. The Council thinks we're a primitive species that got lucky and stumbled onto faster-than-light travel. They've used this same strategy on 847 other worlds. Send a big scary ship, demand surrender, then take over when the aliens give up in fear. General Clark stood up. What they don't know is that we've been watching them for decades. We know their tactics, their technology, and their weaknesses. We've been waiting for them to come to us. Lisa Carter was starting to understand. The defense budget items that were always classified. The research programs that Congress was never allowed to review. You've been building a secret military. Not just military, Morrison corrected. We've been building the tools to free the galaxy. The Council has enslaved hundreds of species through fear and superior technology. But they've never faced anyone who was ready for them. Dr. Rodriguez's voice came through the secure communications system. Mr. President, all systems are online. The quantum disruptors are in position. The Council fleet cannot escape the solar system once we activate them. Morrison looked out the window at the alien ship hanging in the sky like a dark promise of death. Doctor, how long until we can spring the trap? Give me 6 more hours to get all ships into final position. The Council expects us to use the full 72 hours to debate and panic. Let's not disappoint them. As night fell across Earth, people around the world prayed, cried, and said goodbye to their loved ones. They had no idea that above them, and around them, the largest military operation in human history was moving into position. The Council thought they were about to conquer another primitive world. They were about to learn that humanity had been waiting for them. On the bridge of the Dominion's edge, Admiral Zexthera watched with satisfaction as human news broadcasts showed panic and confusion across Earth. The planet's leaders appeared to be having heated arguments about whether to surrender or fight. Perfect, he thought. Fear and division always made conquest easier. Admiral, reported Communications Officer Veltar, a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. We're receiving multiple signals from Earth's governments. The Americans want to negotiate. The Europeans are calling for immediate surrender. The Asian alliance is demanding more time to consider. Zexthera's reptilian lips curved into what might have been a smile. Excellent. The humans are reacting exactly as predicted. How long until their deadline expires? 46 hours, sir. What the Admiral didn't know was that every argument, every panicked news report, and every desperate plea for more time was carefully planned theater. In the White House Situation Room, President Morrison watched actors playing the roles of world leaders on secure video feeds. "How are we doing, General?" Morrison asked. General Clark consulted his tablet. The Council is buying it completely, sir. Our fake negotiations are keeping them focused while our real forces move into final position. Defense Secretary Carter was amazed at the complexity of the deception. How did we know exactly how they would respond? We've been studying Council conquest records for 40 years, Morrison explained. They've used this exact same strategy on hundreds of worlds. Send one large fleet, make threats, then sit back and watch the target species tear itself apart with fear and indecision. Meanwhile, 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, Commander Steve Parker prepared for the most dangerous mission of his career. The USS Silent Thunder rose silently from its hiding place in the Mariana Trench, its stealth systems making it invisible to every form of detection. Parker was a short, stocky man with brown hair and steady hands that never shook, even in the most dangerous situations. He had been chosen to command the first reconnaissance mission to the Council fleet because he was the best pilot humanity had ever produced. "Commander," said his navigator, Lieutenant Carroll Webb, "we're approaching the outer edge of the Council formation. Stealth systems are holding steady." The Silent Thunder moved like a ghost through space, passing within a few hundred meters of Council patrol ships without being detected. Through the viewports, the crew could see the massive alien vessels up close for the first time. "My God," whispered Ensign Rick Jones from the sensor station. "Look at the size of those guns." Parker studied the Council ships with professional interest. Each destroyer was over a mile long, bristling with energy weapons that could destroy a city with a single shot. The command ship was even larger, a floating fortress that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. "Don't let the size fool you," Parker said calmly. "Dr. Rodriguez briefed me on their weaknesses. Those big ships are slow and designed for intimidation. Our smaller, faster vessels will run circles around them." Lieutenant Webb was scanning the Council fleet formations. "Sir, I'm counting 71 ships total. That's much smaller than intelligence predicted." Parker nodded grimly. "The Council is overconfident. They brought just enough force to scare a primitive species into surrender. They have no idea they're about to face a real fight." On the Council command ship, Science Officer Quindal was conducting his own analysis of human capabilities. He had been studying Earth's broadcasts and military communications for days, building a complete picture of human defenses. "Admiral," he reported to Zexthera, "I have completed my assessment of human military strength. They possess approximately 300 space-capable vessels, most of which are cargo ships with minimal weapons. Their military fleet consists of roughly 50 warships armed with primitive missile systems." Quindal activated a holographic display showing Earth's major cities. "Their planetary defenses consist entirely of nuclear missiles and basic radar installations. Their most powerful weapons appear to be fusion bombs with a maximum yield of 50 megatons. Zexithara studied the display with amusement. "Fusion weapons? How charmingly primitive. Our personal shields can deflect attacks 10 times more powerful than their largest bombs." "Yes, sir. I estimate that our fleet could destroy all human military forces within 6 hours of beginning the attack. Their resistance will be token at best." What Quindal's sensors couldn't detect were the quantum disruptors hidden throughout the solar system, the psychic operatives preparing to attack Council, crew members, or the advanced shield generators protecting every human city. His equipment was designed to scan for technologies the Council understood, not the revolutionary physics that humans had developed. Back on the Silent Thunder, Commander Parker was discovering just how unprepared the Council was for real opposition. "Lieutenant Webb, are you seeing this?" "Yes, sir. Their formation is designed purely for intimidation. They have no combat spacing, no overlapping fields of fire, and their patrol patterns have huge gaps." Ensign Jones was monitoring Council communications. "Commander, I'm picking up their internal chatter. They're not even maintaining battle stations. Most of their crew is off duty." Parker shook his head in amazement. "They're so confident that we'll surrender that they're not even ready for a fight. This is going to be easier than we thought." He activated the ship's secure communication system. "Blackout Command, this is Silent Thunder. We have completed reconnaissance of the Council fleet. They are completely unprepared for combat operations." Dr. Rodriguez's voice came back immediately. "Excellent work, Commander. What's your assessment of their capabilities?" "Sir, the Council ships are powerful but slow. They're arranged in a show formation, not a battle formation. I estimate that our fast attack ships can take out their support vessels before they can respond effectively." "Outstanding. Return to base and prepare your squadron for combat operations. We attack in 36 hours. As the Silent Thunder slipped away undetected, the Council fleet continued its lazy orbit around Earth. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they didn't even notice when human ships moved within striking distance. On Earth, the fake negotiations continued. President Morrison appeared on television looking tired and worried, pleading with the Council for more time to convince his people to surrender. The performance was so convincing that even some humans believed it was real. "Admiral Zexathara," Morrison said during a live broadcast to the Council ship, "my people are frightened and confused. Please give us another day to reach a decision. We want to avoid bloodshed." Zexathara appeared on screens around the world, his reptilian features cold and unsympathetic. "You have 34 hours remaining, human. Use them wisely. When the deadline expires, we will begin destroying your cities one by one until you surrender." What the Admiral didn't know was that his every word was being analyzed by human psychologists and military strategists. Dr. Santos and her psychic operatives were studying his mental patterns, preparing to attack his mind when the battle began. In hidden bases around the solar system, 50 stealth ships powered up their weapons and began final approach to attack positions. Quantum disruptors activated, creating an invisible net that would trap the Council fleet. Psychic operatives took their positions near Council vessels. The greatest military deception in human history was about to reach its climax. The Council thought they were facing a frightened, primitive species that would surrender at the first sign of superior force. In 34 hours, they would learn that humanity had been waiting for them for decades, and that Earth's people had spent half a century preparing to fight a war the aliens couldn't imagine. 20 miles beneath the Colorado mountains, Chief Engineer Kate Sullivan walked through a city that most humans didn't know existed. New Cheyenne stretched for miles underground, its streets lined with buildings that housed Earth's greatest secret. 50,000 people lived and worked here, all dedicated to protecting humanity from the day when hostile aliens would finally arrive. The city's main street was wide enough for trucks to drive through, and the ceiling was painted to look like a blue sky with white clouds. Children played in parks while their parents worked in laboratories and control centers. These people had lived their entire lives preparing for the moment that was now finally here. Kate hurried toward the Central Command building, her footsteps echoing off the metal walkways. She was a small woman with short brown hair and hands that were always stained with machine oil. For 20 years, she had been building the weapons that would defend Earth, and today she would finally see if they worked. "Chief Sullivan," called out her assistant, Dr. Paul Grant, as she entered the main control room. "All planetary defense grids are responding. We're ready to bring the shields online." The control room was enormous, with hundreds of technicians working at computer stations. Giant screens on the walls showed views of space around Earth, tracking every Council ship. Other screens displayed readouts from weapon systems hidden across the planet and throughout the solar system. Kate looked at the main display screen. "Show me grid status." Red dots appeared on a map of Earth, marking the locations of shield generators buried deep underground near every major city. Similar dots appeared around the solar system, showing defensive platforms hidden in asteroids and on the dark side of moons. "The Council ships think our cities are defenseless," Kate said with a smile. "Let's keep it that way until they try to attack." 300 miles away, Captain Ryan Brooks stood on the bridge of the USS Silent Thunder, humanity's most advanced warship. The ship hung motionless in the deep ocean trench near Hawaii, invisible to every form of detection the Council possessed. Around him, 50 similar ships waited in underwater bases and hidden asteroid stations. The Silent Thunder was sleek and black, built using technology that had taken 40 years to develop. Its hull was made from materials that bent light around the ship, making it completely invisible to both human and alien eyes. Its weapons used focused energy beams that could cut through the strongest armor ever created. "Captain," said his weapons. Officer Lieutenant Danny Kim. "All stealth systems are green. The aliens have scanned this area 6 times and haven't detected us." Brooks nodded. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm blue eyes that had seen too many battles. "Good. How long until the other ships are in position?" 4 hours, sir. The Europa Squadron is still moving through the asteroid belt. The Luna base ships are ready to launch on your command." Brooks studied the tactical display showing the positions of Council ships above Earth. The aliens had arranged their fleet in a classic intimidation formation, designed to look impressive and scary to primitive species. What they didn't know was that humans had studied Council tactics for decades and knew exactly how to counter them. "Sir," called out the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from Dr. Santos at Psionic Command." The screen flickered and showed a woman with kind eyes and silver hair sitting in what looked like a medical facility. Dr. Maria Santos was the head of humanity's most secret program, one that even most government leaders didn't know existed. "Captain Brooks," she said, "my teams are ready. We have 12 operatives positioned near the Council fleet and another 40 standing by at bases around the system." Brooks had heard rumors about Dr. Santos's work, but had never been told the details. "Doctor, can you give me a brief explanation of your capabilities?" Maria smiled. "Captain, 12% of humans have natural psychic abilities that we've been quietly identifying and training for 30 years. The Council's telepathic species use their mental powers to communicate and control their technology. What they don't know is that human psychic energy operates on a different frequency that can disrupt their systems." She touched a control panel and the screen showed brainwave patterns. "We can cause confusion in their telepathic crew members, interfere with their thought-controlled weapons, and even plant false information in their minds. The Council has never faced psychic warfare because they assumed all telepathic species would naturally be allies." Brooks was amazed. "How many people are we talking about?" "We have over 800 trained psychic operatives ready for combat, Captain. Each one can affect multiple alien crew members simultaneously. When the battle begins, the Council ships will face an enemy they can't see, can't understand, and can't defend against." Back in New Cheyenne, Kate Sullivan received a priority message from Dr. Rodriguez. She read it quickly and then addressed her entire team. "People, we just received confirmation. The Council fleet consists of exactly what our intelligence predicted. 1 massive command ship, 20 heavy destroyers, and 50 support vessels. They brought minimal forces because they expect easy surrender. Technician Lisa Park raised her hand. Chief, what about reinforcements? Surely they have backup fleets? Kate smiled grimly. That's the beautiful part. Dr. Rodriguez's quantum disruptors are about to cut off their ability to call for help or escape. Once we activate the field, the Council fleet will be trapped in our solar system with no way out. She activated the main display, which showed a three-dimensional map of the solar system. Ladies and gentlemen, for 70 years the Galactic Council has been conquering worlds through fear and intimidation. They arrive with overwhelming force, demand surrender, and most species give up without a fight. The display zoomed in on Earth, showing the positions of every Council ship. What they don't know is that we've been preparing for this exact scenario since 1955, when our deep space monitoring stations first detected their empire. Every secret military project, every classified research program, every hidden base and weapon system was built for this day. Dr. Grant looked at the tactical readouts with wonder. Chief, our firepower readings are off the charts. We have more advanced weapons than the Council fleet. That's right, Kate replied. The Council judges species by their visible technology. They see our primitive rockets and nuclear weapons and assume that's all we have. They have no idea that we've developed physics principles they think are impossible. She touched her communication device. Dr. Rodriguez, this is Chief Sullivan. All planetary defense systems are online and ready. The shield generators are prepared to activate on your command. Rodriguez's voice came back immediately. Excellent work, Kate. Captain Brooks, are your ships ready? All vessels are in position, Doctor. The Silent Thunder Squadron is ready to begin hunter-killer operations. Dr. Santos, what's the status of your psychic teams? Maria's voice was calm and confident. All operatives are in position and ready. We've been monitoring Council communications for the past 6 hours. Their crew members are relaxed and confident. They have no idea what's about to happen to them. Rodriguez paused for a moment. People, in 4 hours we will either save Earth or die trying. But I want you all to know that this battle isn't just about our world. We've been in secret contact with resistance movements on dozens of Council-controlled planets. When we defeat this fleet, it will be the signal for uprisings across the galaxy. Kate felt a chill run down her spine. Sir, are you saying other species are counting on us? That's exactly what I'm saying, Chief. The Council has ruled through fear for over 1,000 years. No species has ever successfully resisted them, because they always gave up before the fight began. Today, humanity shows the galaxy that the Council can be beaten. The communication channel went quiet as everyone absorbed the weight of what they were about to do. They weren't just defending Earth. They were about to start the first galactic war of liberation in recorded history. Above them, the Council fleet continued its lazy orbit around Earth, confident that the primitive humans below would surrender long before the 72-hour deadline expired. Admiral Zexathara was already planning how to divide up Earth's population and resources. None of them had any idea that they were about to face an enemy unlike anything in their experience. The countdown timer in the White House Situation Room showed exactly 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. The 72-hour deadline had expired. President Morrison stood before cameras that would broadcast to the entire world and to the Council fleet waiting above. Morrison's face was calm and determined as he spoke words that would change galactic history forever. Admiral Zexathara, people of Earth have made their decision. We choose to fight rather than surrender. We choose freedom over slavery. We choose to stand against tyranny, no matter the cost. On the bridge of the Dominion's edge, Admiral Zexathara received the message with cold satisfaction. He had conquered so many worlds that human defiance felt almost refreshing. It had been years since he'd had the chance to actually destroy a planet's resistance. All ships, he commanded, begin bombardment of human military installations. Target their capital cities first. These primitives need to learn the price of defying the Council. The massive Council ships powered up their energy weapons, preparing to rain destruction on Earth's defenseless cities. Bright red energy beams lanced down from space, aimed at Washington, London, Tokyo, and Moscow. The beams struck Earth's atmosphere and hit their targets perfectly. For a moment, the energy weapons seemed to work exactly as designed. Then something impossible happened. The cities shimmered like mirages in the desert heat. The energy beams passed through them without causing any damage at all. Buildings, streets, and people remained completely unharmed. "What?" Zexathara roared. "Report! Why are our weapons having no effect?" Science Officer Quindal frantically worked at his control station, running diagnostic after diagnostic. "Sir, our weapons are functioning perfectly. The energy beams are reaching the targets with full power, but somehow the human cities are deflecting the attacks." What the aliens didn't know was that every major city on Earth was protected by adaptive shield generators that had been hidden underground for decades. The shields didn't just block incoming attacks, they analyzed each weapon's energy pattern and learned how to counter it in real time. In the underground city of New Cheyenne, Chief Engineer Kate Sullivan watched the shield readouts with satisfaction. First wave of attacks completely neutralized. The shields are adapting faster than expected. Dr. Rodriguez activated the communication system. "All units, this is Blackout Command. Execute Phase 2. Captain Brooks, you are cleared to engage." 3 miles below the Pacific Ocean, Commander Steve Parker felt the silent thunder shudder as its engines came to full power. Around him, 49 other stealth ships rose from hidden bases in ocean trenches, asteroid caves, and lunar caverns. "All ships, this is Thunder Leader," Parker transmitted on the secure channel. "Remember, we are ghosts. Hit them hard and fast, then disappear before they can respond." The Council fleet was still trying to understand why their bombardment had failed when the first human ship struck. The silent thunder appeared behind a Council destroyer like a shadow coming to life, fired 2 quantum torpedoes directly into the alien ship's engine room, then vanished again before the aliens even knew they were under attack. The destroyer exploded in a brilliant flash of light, its hull torn apart by weapons that should not have existed. Admiral Zexathara watched in shock as his ship's sensors showed nothing. No attacking vessel, no energy signature, nothing to explain how one of his most powerful ships had just been destroyed. "All ships combat alert," he commanded. "We are under attack by unknown forces." But the attack was just beginning. Captain Ryan Brooks commanded the stealth ship Dark Angel, hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons. His ship materialized next to a Council supply vessel, destroyed it with concentrated energy beams, then disappeared back into the darkness of space. Across the solar system, Council ships began exploding one after another. The aliens couldn't see their attackers, couldn't predict where the next strike would come from, and couldn't understand how primitive human technology was destroying their most advanced warships. "Sir!" Quindal called out in panic. "We've lost 6 ships in the last 10 minutes. Our sensors detect no enemy vessels. It's impossible." But the worst was yet to come. On a small station hidden in the asteroid belt, Dr. Maria Santos prepared to unleash humanity's most secret weapon. She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind toward the Council fleet. Santos had been born with psychic abilities that were stronger than any human ever tested. For 30 years, she had trained with others like her, learning to use mental powers that most people thought were fantasy. Now she would show the galaxy what human minds could do. She found the thoughts of a council communications officer aboard one of their ships. The alien's mind felt cold and organized, like a computer. That was alive. Santos smiled and began to plant confusion and fear directly into the alien's brain. The communications officer suddenly couldn't remember how to operate his equipment. He pressed buttons randomly, sending false orders to other ships. His fear spread to other crew members as Santos affected their minds as well. Across the Council fleet, psychic operatives struck at the same moment. Alien crew members became confused and disoriented. Telepathic species that had always used their mental powers to coordinate their actions found themselves unable to think clearly. "Admiral," the weapons officer called out, "I'm receiving contradictory orders from multiple ships. Half our fleet is reporting engine failures." Zexathara tried to contact his other commanders, but the communication system was sending mixed signals. Ships that should have been responding to his orders were drifting helplessly or firing at empty space. Dr. Rodriguez watched the battle from his command center deep underground. Phase 3, execute. Activate quantum disruptors. Hidden throughout the solar system, massive machines that had taken 20 years to build suddenly came online. They created an invisible field of quantum energy that made faster-than-light travel impossible within the solar system. Admiral Zexathara realized the trap too late. "Jump to hyperspace! All ships, retreat immediately!" But nothing happened. The Council ship's jump drives activated, consumed enormous amounts of power, and accomplished nothing. They were trapped in the Sol system with no way to escape and no way to call for reinforcements. For the first time in his military career, Zexathara felt the cold touch of real fear. This is impossible. No primitive species possesses this level of technology. Captain Parker's voice came over the silent thunders. Communication system. Thunder Squadron, this is Thunder Leader. The trap is complete. Council ships cannot escape. Begin search and destroy operations. The stealth ships moved through the Council fleet like sharks through a school of fish. They appeared without warning, destroyed their targets with devastating efficiency, then vanished before the aliens could respond. Within an hour, the mighty Council fleet had lost half its ships to an enemy they couldn't see or fight. In the White House, President Morrison watched the battle displays with grim satisfaction. "General Clark, what's our casualty count?" "0 human casualties, sir. The Council hasn't managed to damage a single one of our ships or installations." Morrison turned to Defense Secretary Carter. "Lisa, I think it's time we showed Admiral Zexathara exactly what kind of species he decided to threaten." On the screens around the world, Morrison's face appeared again. But this time he wasn't pleading or looking frightened. His expression was calm, confident, and absolutely determined. "Admiral Zexathara," Morrison said, "you made a serious mistake. You assume that because our visible technology appears primitive, we are weak and helpless. You thought we would surrender rather than fight. You were wrong." The president gestured to images showing the destruction of Council ships. "For 70 years, humanity has been preparing for this day. We've developed technologies your science considers impossible. We've built weapons your military has never faced. And we've been waiting patiently for the Council to finally come to Earth." Morrison's voice became hard as steel. "You wanted to enslave our species. Instead, you've given us the chance to show the galaxy that the Council can be defeated. Admiral, your fleet is trapped and outnumbered. I suggest you consider surrender. For the first time in galactic history, a council admiral was being offered surrender terms by what he had thought was a primitive species. Zexathera stared at the communication screen in shock, finally beginning to understand that he had made the greatest military miscalculation in council history. Admiral Zexathera stood frozen on the bridge of his flagship, watching his fleet being destroyed by an enemy he couldn't see or understand. In 800 years of military service, he had never faced anything like this. The humans were using technologies that his science said were impossible. "Sir," called out his tactical officer with barely controlled panic, "we've lost 23 ships in the last hour. Our remaining vessels are reporting system failures across all departments." Zexathera tried to activate the emergency jump protocol that would take his fleet to safety. The massive engines powered up, consuming enough energy to light a small star. But the ships remained motionless. They were trapped like insects in an invisible web. "Impossible," he whispered. "No species has ever developed quantum field disruption technology." 3,000 miles below Earth's surface, Dr. Rodriguez monitored the quantum disruptor network with satisfaction. The machines spread throughout the solar system were creating a field that made faster-than-light travel impossible. It was technology that had taken humanity 50 years to develop, based on physics principles the Council had never discovered. "Sir," reported his assistant, Dr. Grant, "the Council fleet is completely contained. Their jump drives are burning, out from repeated failed attempts to escape." Rodriguez nodded. "Excellent. Phase 4 is ready? All missiles are loaded and targeted. General Clark is standing by for your command." On the other side of the planet, General Ben Clark stood in a command bunker that had been carved out of solid rock beneath the Canadian wilderness. Around him, dozens of technicians monitored weapon systems that the world's governments had spent trillions of dollars to develop in secret. Clark was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. He had spent his entire career preparing for this moment, and now he was finally seeing humanity's greatest weapons in action. "General," called out Major Linda Torres from her control station, "all quantum torpedo batteries are online. We have a clear shot at every council ship." Clark looked at the tactical display showing the positions of the alien fleet. Hidden missile silos across Earth were revealing their true contents for the first time. What the Council had thought were primitive nuclear missiles were actually quantum torpedoes that could phase through any known form of armor or shielding. "Dr. Rodriguez, this is General Clark. Request permission to demonstrate our planetary defense capabilities." Rodriguez's voice came back immediately. "Permission granted, General. Show them what real firepower looks like." Clark activated the firing sequence. "All batteries, this is command. Fire torpedoes full spread." Across Earth, missile silos that had been hidden for decades opened their doors. But instead of the primitive rockets the Council expected, sleek silver torpedoes rose into the sky. These weapons used quantum technology that allowed them to exist in multiple dimensions at once, making them impossible to intercept or block. The torpedoes streaked toward the Council fleet at incredible speed. Admiral Zexathera watched them approach and ordered his ships to activate their energy shields. The defensive barriers that had protected Council fleets for centuries powered up, creating walls of energy that could stop any known weapon. The quantum torpedoes passed through the shields as if they didn't exist. Each torpedo carried an artificial intelligence that could adapt to enemy defenses in microseconds, learning and countering every protective system the aliens possessed. "Sir!" screamed the weapons officer as explosions rippled across the Council fleet. "Our shields are useless. The human weapons are passing right through them." Zexathera watched in horror as 3 more of his ships exploded. How is this possible? Our shields can stop anything. What the Admiral didn't understand was that human physicists had discovered principles of quantum mechanics that allowed matter to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The torpedoes were attacking from directions that didn't exist in normal space-time. Meanwhile, Commander Steve Parker was discovering something even more shocking about Council technology. The Silent Thunder had moved close enough to scan the alien ship's power systems, and what Parker found changed everything. "This is incredible," he said to his crew. "Lieutenant Webb, are you seeing this?" His navigator studied the readings with amazement. "Sir, the Council ship's power cores are quantum entangled with their home worlds. They're receiving energy directly from planets hundreds of light years away." Parker realized the implications immediately. "That means we can trace the connections. We can find every Council world in the galaxy." He activated the secure communication system. "Dr. Rodriguez, this is Silent Thunder. We've discovered something about Council technology that changes everything." Rodriguez responded instantly. "What did you find, Commander?" "Sir, their ships are powered by quantum entanglement with their home planets. We can trace these connections and identify the location of every Council world in the galaxy." There was a long pause before Rodriguez responded. "Commander, are you saying we can strike at Council infrastructure across the galaxy simultaneously?" "That's exactly what I'm saying, sir. If we can disrupt the quantum entanglement, we can shut down Council ships anywhere in space. We could cripple their entire fleet with one coordinated attack." Back on the Council flagship, Science Officer Quindale was frantically trying to understand how primitive humans had developed such advanced technology. His instruments were detecting energy signatures that shouldn't exist and weapons that operated on principles his species had never discovered. "Admiral," he reported with a shaking voice, "the humans are using technologies that are thousands of years more advanced than anything in our databases. Their weapons operate outside our understanding of physics." Zexathara felt his world crashing down around him. "Contact the Council on Zentaria Prime. Tell them we need immediate reinforcements." "Sir, I've been trying for the past hour. The quantum field the humans created is blocking all long-range communications. The home worlds don't even know we're in trouble." For the first time in galactic history, a Council fleet was cut off from reinforcements and facing an enemy that was technologically superior. Admiral Zexathara had conquered hundreds of worlds by using overwhelming force and advanced technology to intimidate primitive species. Now he was learning what it felt like to be on the receiving end. Dr. Rodriguez activated the global communication system. "All units, this is Blackout Command. The Council fleet is trapped and half destroyed. It's time to show them the full extent of human capabilities." Around the solar system, weapon platforms that had been hidden for decades revealed themselves. Asteroid bases opened up to show massive energy cannons. Lunar installations activated shield generators that could protect entire moons. Space stations that had been disguised as space debris suddenly came online with weapons that could destroy planets. Admiral Zexathara watched the display with growing terror. The solar system was filled with human military installations that his scouts had completely missed. Earth wasn't a primitive world with basic defenses. It was the most heavily fortified system he had ever encountered. "Sir," whispered his communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the human president." Morrison's face appeared on the main screen, and his expression was no longer diplomatic. "Admiral Zexathara, your fleet is defeated. Your ships are trapped, and your weapons are useless against our defenses. But this battle isn't just about Earth. The president gestured to data displays showing galactic star charts. For 70 years, we've been in secret contact with resistance movements on worlds throughout your empire. They've been waiting for proof that the Council can be defeated. Today, you're going to provide that proof. Morrison's voice became hard, as steel. Admiral, your empire is built on fear and intimidation. You've ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years because no species ever fought back effectively. That ends today. Earth doesn't just defend itself. We're about to liberate every world the Council has enslaved. Zexathara stared at the screen in shock. You're talking about war against the entire galactic government. Morrison smiled grimly. No, Admiral. We're talking about revolution. And it starts right here, right now, with the complete destruction of your fleet. The Admiral looked around his bridge at his terrified crew members. For the first time in his long military career, he was facing an enemy that was superior in every way. The humans had better technology, better tactics, and something the Council had never possessed: the moral certainty that they were fighting for freedom rather than conquest. The tide of galactic history was about to turn, and Admiral Zexathara realized that he was witnessing the beginning of the end of Council rule. At exactly 14:30 Earth Standard Time, General Clark pressed a single button that changed the course of galactic history. The quantum resonance network that humanity had spent decades building activated simultaneously across the galaxy, striking at every major Council installation at the same moment. On Zentaria Prime, the Council's capital world, government officials were attending a routine session when every military base, communication center, and administrative building suddenly lost power. The quantum attacks had disabled their infrastructure without harming civilian populations. "Sir," reported Major Torres from her control station, "quantum strike successful on all targets. We've hit 437 worlds simultaneously. Council military infrastructure is completely disabled." General Clark watched the tactical displays with satisfaction. "Excellent. Begin Phase 2. Activate the resistance networks." Across the galaxy, hidden communication devices that had been placed by human agents over the past 50 years suddenly came online. On worlds that the Council thought were completely under their control, resistance leaders received the message they had been waiting decades to hear: the signal to begin their uprisings. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, a species called the Andromedans had been enslaved by the Council for over 2 centuries. They had been forced to extract rare minerals that powered Council technology, working in dangerous conditions while their children were taken away to be raised as servants. Andromeda resistance leader Cathara received the human transmission in his hidden underground base. The message was simple: the Council fleet at Earth has been destroyed. Their military infrastructure is disabled. Begin liberation operations immediately. Cathara had been waiting for this moment his entire life. He activated the emergency communication network that connected Andromedan resistance cells across the planet. "Brothers and sisters, the time has come. The humans have kept their promise. Today we reclaim our world." Similar scenes were playing out on hundreds of worlds throughout Council space. Species that had been conquered centuries ago were rising up with weapons and technology that humans had secretly provided over the decades. On the bridge of the Dominion's edge, Admiral Zexathara watched his empire crumble in real time. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy as Council worlds lost contact with their central government. "Sir," reported Communications Officer Veltar with panic in his voice, "we're receiving distress signals from every sector. Zentaria Prime is under attack. The Vega colonies have declared independence. The Tau Ceti system has gone completely silent. Zexathara stared at the tactical displays in disbelief. Red warning lights were appearing on star charts throughout. Council space, as world after world stopped responding to central authority. "This is impossible," he whispered. "How could primitive humans coordinate simultaneous attacks across the entire galaxy?" Dr. Rodriguez appeared on the communication screen, his face calm and confident. "Admiral, humanity has been preparing for this day since 1955, when our deep space monitoring stations first detected your empire. We've spent 70 years building the largest intelligence network in galactic history." Rodriguez gestured to displays showing the scope of the operation. "We've had agents on Council worlds for decades, secretly contacting resistance movements and providing them with advanced technology. Every species you've enslaved has been waiting for the signal to fight back." What the Admiral was seeing was the collapse of an empire that had ruled through fear for over 1,000 years. The Council had always been able to suppress individual world rebellions by sending overwhelming military force. But they had never faced simultaneous uprisings on hundreds of worlds at once. On the former Council world of Proxima Centauri B, the native Proximans had been forced to serve as administrators for Council bureaucracy. They were naturally intelligent and organized, which made them perfect for managing the Empire's vast paperwork and communication systems. But the Proximans had also been secretly recording every Council operation for decades, building detailed files on military movements, supply routes, and strategic weaknesses. When the human signal arrived, they used their access to Council systems to shut down government operations across entire sectors. Proximan resistance leader Vel Noth transmitted a message to Earth that brought tears to human eyes. "People of Idamba, Earth, we have waited 300 years for someone to show us that the Council could be defeated. Today you have given every enslaved species in the galaxy the greatest gift possible: hope." Meanwhile, on the mining colonies near the galactic core, a species called the Tau Cetians had been forced to extract the rare crystals that powered Council faster than light drives. The Tau Cetians were naturally skilled engineers who understood technology better than most Council species. For 2 centuries, they had been secretly sabotaging the crystals they mined, introducing microscopic flaws that would cause Council ships to break down after extended use. When the liberation signal arrived, they activated a virus they had built into every crystal they had ever produced. Across the galaxy, Council ships suddenly found their engines failing as the sabotaged crystals finally activated their hidden programming. Entire fleets became stranded as their faster-than-light drives stopped working. Admiral Zexathara watched in horror as reports came in from his remaining ships. "Sir, we're receiving distress calls from Council fleets throughout the galaxy. Ships are experiencing massive engine failures. Our entire navy is being crippled simultaneously." Dr. Rodriguez smiled as he delivered the final blow to Council confidence. "Admiral, did you really think that the species you enslaved wouldn't find ways to fight back? Every crystal, every component, every system that your empire depends on has been compromised by the people you forced to build it. The scale of the coordinated rebellion was beyond anything in recorded galactic history. Humanity hadn't just defeated one Council fleet. They had triggered the complete collapse of the largest empire the galaxy had ever known. On Earth, President Morrison addressed the planet with words that would be remembered forever. People of Earth and peoples of the galaxy, today marks the end of the age of fear and the beginning of the age of freedom. The Council Empire has fallen, not through conquest, but through the power of cooperation and the determination of free beings everywhere. Captain Ryan Brooks, monitoring the situation from orbit, reported to Earth Command. "Sir, we're receiving transmission from over 200 worlds declaring their independence from the Council. The resistance networks are functioning exactly as planned, but the most amazing discovery was yet to come. Dr. Rodriguez received a transmission from the edge of known space that would change humanity's understanding of their place in the universe." "Dr. Rodriguez," came a voice speaking perfect English. "This is Elder Zarthul of the Watcher Council. We have been observing galactic events for over 10,000 years, waiting for the emergence of a species that would bring balance to the galaxy." Rodriguez was stunned. "Who are you? How do you know our language?" "We are an ancient species that withdrew from galactic affairs long ago when we saw how power and technology could corrupt. We have been waiting for a young species that would use advanced technology not for conquest, but for liberation. Today, humanity has proven that such a species exists." The Elder's next words sent shockwaves through human leadership. "Dr. Rodriguez, what you have accomplished today was prophesied in our ancient texts. A young species from a small blue world would one day unite the galaxy not through fear, but through the promise of freedom. That species, according to our prophecies, was destined to lead the galaxy into a new age of cooperation and exploration." Admiral Zexthera, listening to the transmission, finally understood the true scope of what was happening. This wasn't just a military defeat. It was the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy that would reshape galactic civilization. The Council Empire was dead, and in its place, a new kind of galactic government was being born. One based not on fear and domination, but on cooperation and mutual respect. And it was being led by the species the Council had most underestimated, the humans of Earth. Admiral Zexthera watched his fleet burning around him as more ships exploded under the relentless human attack. In the span of 6 hours, the mighty Council force that had conquered hundreds of worlds had been reduced to less than 20 functional vessels. The humans were destroying his ships faster than he could count them. "Sir," called his communications officer with desperation in his voice, "I'm still unable to contact Zentaria Prime or any Council worlds. The humans have completely cut off our long-range communications." Zexthera slammed his fist on the command console. "This is impossible. No primitive species should possess technology to disrupt quantum communications." What the Admiral didn't know was that Dr. Rodriguez had been intercepting and studying Council communications for over 40 years. Every message between Council fleets and their home worlds had been monitored, analyzed, and used to build Earth's intelligence network. In his underground command center, Rodriguez was reviewing intercepted Council transmissions with satisfaction. "Look at this," he said to his staff. "For months we've been feeding the Council false information about human capabilities through their own communication networks." Dr. Grant studied the data displays. "Sir, you mean they've been making decisions based on intelligence we wanted them to have?" "Exactly. Every report they received about Earth's military strength, every assessment of our technology, every strategic analysis, we wrote all of it. The Council came here expecting to face a primitive species because that's what we told them they would find." Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Dominion's edge, Admiral Zexthera was making the most desperate decision of his military career. With conventional weapons failing and his fleet being systematically destroyed, he decided to use weapons that the Council had banned from warfare centuries ago. "Activate the bioweapon systems," he commanded. Science Officer Quindell turned pale. "Sir, bioweapons are forbidden by Council law. The penalties for their use include execution and disgrace of family lines for 7 generations. Better disgrace than extinction, Zexthera replied grimly. If conventional weapons cannot defeat these humans, we will use weapons that attack their biology directly. The Council bioweapons were designed to target specific genetic markers in enemy species. They could kill every human on Earth within hours while leaving all other life forms unharmed. It was the ultimate weapon of genocide, and Zexthera was desperate enough to use it. 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Maria Santos felt the Admiral's decision before he even spoke the words. Her psychic abilities allowed her to read the surface thoughts of Council crew members, and what she sensed filled her with cold determination. All psychic operatives, she transmitted on the secure mental network that connected her team. The Council is preparing to deploy bioweapons against Earth. We cannot allow this to happen. Santos closed her eyes and reached out with her mind toward the Council flagship. She had been preparing for this moment for 30 years, training her psychic abilities to levels that no human had ever achieved before. Now she would show the aliens what human mental powers could accomplish. She found Admiral Zexthera's mind and struck with surgical precision. Instead of the crude mental confusion she had been using against other crew members, she planted specific false information directly into the Admiral's consciousness. Suddenly, Zexthera believed with absolute certainty that the bioweapons had been removed from his ship months ago for routine maintenance. The memory felt completely real to him, even though Santos had created it moments before. "Sir," reported the weapons. "Officer, the bioweapon systems are not responding. According to our records, they were removed for maintenance 6 months ago." Zexthera stared at the control panel in confusion. He clearly remembered ordering the bioweapons to be maintained, but now he couldn't understand why he would think they were still aboard his ship. Dr. Santos smiled grimly as she maintained the mental manipulation. Around the solar system, her psychic operatives were performing similar feats of mental warfare against other Council ships. The aliens' own telepathic abilities, which had always been an advantage, were now being turned against them. But the Council had other desperate measures available. Communications Officer Veltar discovered that the human's quantum field only blocked faster-than-light communications, not normal radio transmissions within the solar system. "Admiral," he reported, "I can send a distress signal using primitive radio waves. It will take years to reach Council space, but at least the home worlds will eventually learn what happened here." Zexthera nodded. "Do it. Send a complete record of this battle. The Council must know that humanity possesses technology beyond anything we've encountered." Commander Steve Parker intercepted the radio transmission within minutes. "Dr. Rodriguez, the Council is trying to send a warning to their home worlds. Should we block the signal?" Rodriguez considered the question. "No, Commander. Let them send their message. By the time it reaches Council space, the war will already be over." Parker was confused. "Sir, what do you mean?" "Commander, in approximately 1 hour we're going to demonstrate something that will change galactic history forever. The Council fleet isn't our only target today." Back on Earth, General Clark was preparing humanity's most ambitious military operation. In secret facilities around the world, scientists had been working on a project that would strike at every Council world simultaneously. "General," reported Major Torres, "the quantum resonance network is fully charged. We can target every Council installation in the galaxy." Clark studied the tactical displays with amazement. Using the quantum entanglement connections from Council ships, human scientists had mapped the entire Council empire. Every military base, every government facility, Every strategic installation was now vulnerable to simultaneous attack. "Sir," asked Major Torres, "how is this possible? We're talking about striking targets that are thousands of light years away." Clark smiled. "Major, quantum entanglement operates outside normal space-time. Distance becomes irrelevant when you're attacking through quantum dimensions. We can hit every Council world at exactly the same moment." The technology was so advanced that even most human scientists didn't fully understand it. Earth's greatest physicists had spent decades developing weapons that could attack targets anywhere in the galaxy instantaneously. On the Council flagship, Admiral Zex Thara received reports that filled him with growing dread. His remaining ships were reporting complete system failures as human psychic operatives continued their mental attacks against alien crew members. "Sir," called out the tactical officer, "our entire fleet is effectively disabled. Engine systems are failing, weapons are offline, and our crew members are unable to perform their duties." Zexathera realized that the humans weren't just destroying his ships. They were demonstrating their complete technological superiority. Earth could have annihilated the Council fleet in minutes, but instead they were taking their time to show the aliens exactly how outmatched they were. "Admiral," President Morrison's voice came over the communication system, "your fleet is defeated and your bioweapons have been neutralized. But this battle was never really about your ships." Morrison's image appeared on the main screen, and behind him were displays showing star charts of the entire galaxy. "Admiral, for 70 years humanity has been preparing not just to defend Earth, but to liberate every world the Council has enslaved." The President gestured to the galactic map. "We've been in contact with resistance movements on over 300 Council worlds. They've been waiting for proof that your empire can be defeated. In 1 hour, we're going to provide that proof by simultaneously striking every Council military installation in the galaxy." Zexathara stared at the display in shock. "That's impossible. No species has ever possessed weapons with that kind of range." Morrison smiled coldly. "Admiral, your ship's quantum entanglement systems have given us a direct path to every Council world. We've been tracing these connections for decades, mapping your entire empire and identifying every strategic target." The President's expression became absolutely determined. "The age of Council tyranny ends today, not just on Earth, but throughout the galaxy. Admiral, you're about to witness the largest military operation in galactic history." Admiral Zexathara realized with horrible clarity that his fleet hadn't just stumbled into a trap. They had triggered the beginning of a galactic revolution that would destroy the Council forever. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, the massive Council fleet that had once threatened humanity now served as the foundation for the galaxy's first democratic capital. The ships had been converted into orbital platforms around Earth, housing representatives from over 300 liberated worlds who had come to help write the charter for the Free Worlds Alliance. President Morrison stood before the largest gathering of intelligent species in galactic history. The orbital assembly hall had been built inside the former Council flagship Dominion's Edge, its weapons removed and its interior redesigned to accommodate beings of every shape and size imaginable. "Representatives of the Free Galaxy," Morrison began. "6 months ago, many of your worlds were enslaved by an empire that ruled through fear and intimidation. Today we gather as equals to build something the galaxy has never seen before. A government based on cooperation, democracy, and mutual respect." In the front row, Admiral Zexathara sat with other former Council officers who had chosen to join the new alliance rather than face punishment for their past actions. The former admiral had been amazed to discover that humans showed mercy even to their enemies, offering redemption instead of revenge. Zexathara still struggled to understand how he had been so completely outmaneuvered by a species he had thought was primitive. In the months since his defeat, he had learned that humanity's apparent technological inferiority had been the greatest military deception in galactic history. The humans, he said to his aide, have technologies that operate on principles our science never discovered. Their weapons exist in multiple dimensions. Their shields adapt to any attack. Their ships are invisible to our best sensors. How did they develop such capabilities while remaining hidden from our surveillance? Dr. Rodriguez, who had become Earth's first ambassador to the Free Worlds Alliance, answered the question during his address to the Assembly. For 70 years, humanity developed two completely separate technological paths. One was visible and primitive, designed to make the Council underestimate us. The other was hidden and advanced, based on physics principles we discovered by studying Council technology and improving upon it. Rodriguez gestured to displays showing human research facilities. Every Council ship that entered our solar system, every piece of technology that fell into our hands, every communication we intercepted was studied and reverse-engineered. We learned everything about Council science, and then surpassed it. But the most remarkable revelation came from Dr. Maria Santos, whose psychic abilities had played a crucial role in humanity's victory. She addressed the Assembly about the discovery that had shocked even human scientists. "Representatives," she said, "during our research into psychic warfare, we discovered something amazing. Nearly every intelligent species in the galaxy possesses some form of telepathic or psychic ability. The Council simply never encouraged these abilities because they feared what free minds might accomplish." Santos activated a holographic display, showing brainwave patterns from dozens of different species. When beings are enslaved and live in fear, their psychic abilities remain dormant. But when they are free and working together toward common goals, these abilities become stronger than anyone imagined possible. The demonstration that followed amazed everyone in the Assembly. Representatives from different worlds, working together with their combined psychic abilities, were able to communicate instantly across vast distances, share complex ideas without words, and even coordinate actions with perfect precision. Captain Ryan Brooks, now Admiral of the Free World's Defense Force, explained how this discovery had changed military strategy throughout the galaxy. The old Council military was based on individual ships acting independently under centralized command. Our new defense forces use psychic coordination to act as a single, unified organism. It's more effective than any command structure ever developed. The transformation of the galaxy was happening faster than anyone had expected. Species that had been enemies under Council rule were discovering they had more in common than they had differences. The Andromedans, who had been forced to mine crystals, were now sharing their engineering expertise with other worlds. The Proximans, who had managed Council bureaucracy, were helping design the new democratic government systems. Elder Zarthul of the Ancient Watchers addressed the Assembly via long-range communication from the edge of known space. His words carried the weight of 10,000 years of observation. "Young beings of the Free Worlds Alliance," he said, "we Watchers withdrew from galactic affairs long ago because we saw how advanced technology could lead to tyranny and oppression. We have waited throughout the ages for a species that would use great power wisely." The Elder's image showed a being that looked like a cross between a human and a tree, with bark-like skin and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of millennia. Humanity has proven that intelligence and morality can develop together. You have shown that advanced technology can be used to liberate rather than enslave. For this reason, we offer to share knowledge that we have kept hidden for 10,000 years. The revelation stunned the assembly. The Watchers possessed technologies that made even human innovations look primitive. They offered to teach the Free Worlds Alliance about forms of energy that could make entire star systems bloom with life, methods of space travel that could cross the galaxy in minutes, and techniques for extending life that could allow beings to live for thousands of years. But, Elder Zarthul warned, this knowledge comes with great responsibility. It must be used only for creation, never for destruction. It must be shared freely among all species, never hoarded by a few. And it must always serve the cause of freedom, never the pursuit of power. President Morrison stood to respond on behalf of all humanity and the Free Worlds Alliance. Elder Zarthul, we accept this responsibility. We have learned that true strength comes not from dominating others, but from helping them reach their full potential. We promise to use your knowledge wisely. The ceremony that followed marked the official end of the Council era and the beginning of the Free Worlds Alliance. Representatives from hundreds of worlds signed the charter that established principles of democracy, cooperation, and mutual respect as the foundations of galactic government. But perhaps the most moving moment came when former Admiral Zexathara approached President Morrison after the ceremony. The reptilian officer, who had once commanded fleets that conquered worlds, now spoke with humility and respect. President Morrison, he said, I came to your world expecting to add another conquest to my record. Instead, I learned about concepts I had never encountered before: mercy, forgiveness, and the power of cooperation. I request permission to serve the Free Worlds Alliance in whatever capacity you deem appropriate. Morrison smiled and shook the former Admiral's clawed hand. Admiral Zexathara, we judge beings not by their past mistakes, but by their willingness to build a better future. The Alliance needs experienced military leaders who understand both the old ways and the new ones. I can't think of anyone better qualified than someone who has seen both sides of this transformation. As the assembly concluded, ships from hundreds of worlds prepared to carry the news of the Free Worlds Alliance to every corner of the galaxy. The age of fear and oppression was over. The age of exploration and cooperation was beginning. Dr. Rodriguez received one final transmission that day from deep space monitoring stations that were detecting something extraordinary. Sir, reported the technician, we're picking up signals from beyond the galactic rim. There are other galaxies out there, and some of them appear to have intelligent life. Rodriguez smiled as he looked out at the stars. Then our greatest adventure is just beginning. We've liberated one galaxy, but the universe is vast and full of wonders we haven't even imagined yet. The story that had begun with humanity's apparent defeat had become the tale of the galaxy's greatest liberation. Earth had struck back not with vengeance, but with the promise of freedom. And in doing so, they had changed not just their own destiny, but the future of every intelligent being among the stars. The Free Worlds Alliance would face new challenges and discover new wonders in the years to come. But they would face them together as equals, united by the belief that cooperation was stronger than conquest and that freedom was worth any sacrifice. The galaxy had awakened, and it would never be the same again.